I never thought I'd be one of those guys posting their life story on Reddit, but here I am. I need to get this off my chest, and maybe typing it all out will help me process what the hell happened to my life in the span of 3 months. Fair warning. This is going to be a long one, and I'll be posting it in parts as I work through everything. My wife Sarah and I had been married for 7 years. We met in college, both business majors with big dreams. After graduation, we both landed decent jobs at competing firms, got married at 25, and bought our first house at 28. On paper, we were the perfect couple. She was beautiful, smart, ambitious. I was stable, hardworking, devoted. We didn't have kids yet because we both agreed to focus on our careers first. About 2 years ago, Sarah got a promotion that required frequent travel. At least, that's what she told me. 2 or 3 nights a week. She'd be in Chicago, New York, Boston, meeting with clients. I never questioned it. Her career was taking off, and I was genuinely happy for her. Our bank account was certainly happy too. She started bringing home significantly more money, which we used to renovate the house and take some amazing vacations. The beginning of the end started with something so innocuous, a security camera. My car had been broken into while parked in our driveway, and after filing a police report that went nowhere, I decided to install a simple security system. Nothing fancy. Just a doorbell camera and one camera in the living room facing the front door. I set it up on a Saturday when Sarah was supposedly at a conference in Philadelphia. The system worked great. I could check the feed from my phone, got motion alerts, the whole package. I didn't think much of it until about 2 weeks later. I was at work when I got a motion alert on my phone. Expecting to see the Amazon delivery guy, I opened the app and saw Sarah walking through the front door at 11:30 a.m. on a Tuesday. She was supposed to be in Boston until Thursday. My first thought was concern. Maybe she'd gotten sick or something had happened. I was about to call her when I noticed she wasn't alone. A man in an expensive-looking suit followed her in. They were laughing, touching. He handed her what looked like an envelope, which she tucked into her purse before leading him upstairs. Out of camera view, my stomach dropped to the floor. I couldn't think. I couldn't breathe. I sat there at my desk watching the empty living room feed for what felt like hours. Finally, at around 2 p.m., they came back downstairs. She was wearing different clothes. They kissed by the door, not a friendly peck, but the kind of kiss that made me physically ill to watch. He left, and she locked the door behind him. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. It was Sarah. "Hey babe, just checking in from Boston. The meeting went well. How's your day going?" I don't remember what I said. Something generic. Something normal. My brain was on autopilot while my heart was being shredded. That night, I didn't sleep. I went through our finances with a fine-toothed comb. There were cash deposits to our joint account that didn't align with her paycheck schedule. Hotel charges in cities she wasn't supposed to be in. Restaurant bills for 2 when I wasn't with her. I spent the next 3 days in a daze, watching the camera feed obsessively. Nothing happened. On Friday, Sarah came home as scheduled, rolling her suitcase through the door with a tired smile, telling me all about her business trip to Boston. I nodded and smiled and died a little inside with every lie. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I needed to understand what I was dealing with. Was this an affair, or was it something else entirely? The envelope, the cash deposits, the regular business trips that didn't match her company's client list. Yes, I checked. I needed more information before my world completely fell apart. I decided to take a week off work. Told my boss I had a family emergency, which wasn't exactly a lie. I needed to figure out what the hell was going on with my wife. The camera in the living room wasn't enough. I needed to see the whole picture. So I installed 3 more cameras. One in our bedroom, one in the kitchen, and one on our back patio. I made sure they were small, discreet, and would send alerts directly to my phone. I told Sarah I'd be going on a business trip myself, a conference in Atlanta for 4 days. She seemed relieved, even enthusiastic about me being gone. "You deserve some time away," she said, kissing me on the cheek. "You've been working so hard lately." I checked into a hotel just 20 minutes from our house, close enough to come back if needed, far enough that I wouldn't accidentally run into anyone I knew. For 4 days, I lived in that hotel room, eyes glued to my phone, watching my life unravel through security footage. Day 1. Sarah called in sick to work. At 10 a.m., she spent nearly 2 hours getting ready, hair, makeup, outfit changes. At noon, a black Mercedes pulled into our driveway. A different man this time, older, maybe in his 50s. She greeted him at the door wearing a dress I'd never seen before. They drank wine in our kitchen. He handed her an envelope. They went upstairs. 3 hours later, he left. Day 2. 2 different appointments. One in the afternoon, one in the evening. Different men, same routine. Envelopes exchanged. Hours spent upstairs, polite goodbyes at the door. Between visits, she would meticulously clean the house, change the sheets, shower. Day 3 hit me hardest. While cleaning up after her afternoon client, Sarah took a phone call in the kitchen. I could hear most of the conversation. "No, that's my premium rate. Yes, I understand you, irregular, but those services cost extra. I have bills to pay too, Richard." "Fine, we can discuss it when you get here." That's when it fully clicked. My wife wasn't just having affairs. She was an escort, a high-end one, apparently, catering to wealthy businessmen. All those business trips, the extra money, the vague explanations about her promotion. It was all a cover for her other life. I threw up in the hotel bathroom. That night, I got drunk at the hotel bar. A woman tried to pick me up, pretty, younger than Sarah, clearly interested. I showed her my wedding ring and told her my wife was screwing other men for money. She backed away slowly. Can blame her? On day 4, I couldn't watch anymore. I checked out early and drove around for hours, trying to clear my head. By evening, I found myself parked outside our house, staring at the front door. Sarah's car was in the driveway. No visitors, cars. I checked the camera feeds on my phone. She was alone, watching Netflix on the couch, texting someone. I walked in like nothing was wrong, hugged her, told her I missed her, asked about her week. She gave me some bullshit about a difficult client project and how relieved she was to have a quiet night at home. I nodded, smiled, died more inside. That night in bed, she reached for me, wanting to have sex. For the first time in our marriage, I couldn't do it. I faked exhaustion from traveling. She seemed disappointed but understanding. As she fell asleep beside me, I lay awake wondering how many men had been with my wife in our bed. How many times she changed these sheets. How long this had been going on. The next morning over breakfast, she mentioned she had another business trip coming up. 3 days in Chicago. I watched her lie to my face with perfect composure. This stranger who wore my wife's face. "Actually," I said, surprising myself with how calm I sounded, "I was thinking of joining you in Chicago. I have some potential clients there I could meet with. We could make it a working vacation." The flash of panic in her eyes confirmed everything. She quickly recovered, said how much she loved that but her schedule would be packed. Maybe next time would be better. I agreed. Next time. Sure. As soon as she left for the gym, I started making phone calls. First to a lawyer, then to a private investigator. I needed to document everything properly if I was going to survive the divorce I now knew was inevitable. The pie cost a fortune, but he was worth every penny. Within 2 days, he had compiled evidence that would destroy any chance of Sarah taking me to the cleaners in a divorce. He even found her secret apartment downtown. A place she used when she didn't bring clients home. A place she maintained under her maiden name. I was married to a complete stranger. The support from this community has been overwhelming. Thank you all for the kind messages and advice. Writing these posts is helping me process everything. So here's the next chapter in this nightmare. Once I had confirmation about Sarah's double life, I had to decide what to do with the information. My lawyer advised me to gather as much evidence as possible before confronting her. The PI was still monitoring her activities, documenting clients, payments, and locations. I kept the cameras running in our house. Each notification on my phone was another dagger in my heart, but I needed the evidence. What hurt most wasn't the sex. It was the elaborate deception. The person I trusted most in the world had constructed an entire alternate reality and made me live in it. Every conversation we had for who knows how long was based on lies. Every time she told me about her day or her meetings or her colleagues, all fabricated. Our entire relationship had become a carefully maintained fiction. I started looking back at our history together, trying to pinpoint when it all changed. When did my wife decide to become an escort? Was it for the money? The thrill? Was I not enough? What the hell happened to the woman I married? 2 weeks after my discovery, Sarah told me she was heading to Chicago for 3 days. I knew she was actually going to her secret apartment downtown. According to the PI, she had 4 appointments scheduled over those 3 days. High-profile clients, significant sums of money changing hands. I decided this was the time to confront her. Not at home where she could control the environment, but on her turf. In her secret life, I drove downtown and parked across from her building. The PI had given me the unit number and assured me there were no building security measures I couldn't handle. I waited until her second client of the day left, a well-dressed man in his 40s who spent 2 hours in her apartment. An hour after he left, I walked into the building, took the elevator to the 12th floor, and knocked on apartment 1208. When Sarah opened the door, she was wearing a silk robe and had a glass of wine in her hand. The look on her face when she saw me, I'll never forget it. Shock, fear, then something else. Resignation. How did you find me? She asked quietly, stepping back to let me in. The apartment was immaculate, tastefully decorated, expensive furniture, floor-to-ceiling windows with a view of the city. This wasn't just some place she used for appointments. She had created a whole other home. Does it matter how I found you? I asked. I know everything, Sarah. She didn't deny it. Didn't try to come up with some elaborate explanation. She just sank onto the couch and stared at her wine glass. How long? I asked. 3 years, she said. 3 years. Half of our marriage. Why? My voice cracked on that single syllable. She looked up at me then, and I saw a coldness in her eyes I'd never seen before. Because I was bored, she said. Because I wanted more. More money, more excitement, more everything. We have money, I said. We have a good life. She laughed, and it wasn't the laugh I knew. We have an average life. I didn't want average. Do you know how much I make doing this? 5 times what you bring home. 5 times. And these men, they appreciate me. They see my value. They pay you for sex, I said bluntly. They pay me for an experience, she corrected, as if the distinction mattered. For companionship, conversation, for feeling important and desired. The sex is just part of the package. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This stranger wearing my wife's face was calmly explaining her prostitution business model to me like it was a corporate presentation. Did you ever love me? I asked, hating how pathetic I sounded. Something softened in her expression. Of course I did. I still do, in my way. But not enough to stop. This is who I am now. And who exactly is that? Because the woman I married wouldn't do this. The woman you married was young and naive, she said. She didn't know what the world had to offer. We talked for hours. Or rather, she talked and I listened in horrified fascination as she detailed her journey from corporate employee to high-end escort. How a client at her firm had propositioned her. How the money was too good to turn down. How one appointment turned into another, then another, until she had a full client list and a business manager. I never meant to hurt you, she said, which was the biggest lie of all. Every decision she made was a conscious choice to deceive me, to risk my health, to make a mockery of our marriage vows. I want a divorce, I finally said. She nodded as if she'd been expecting this. I figured, what are your terms? Not, please don't leave me, or, can we work this out? Just straight to negotiating the dissolution of our marriage like it was another business transaction. I want you out of our house by the end of the week, I said. My lawyer will contact you about the rest. She smiled then, a calculating expression that sent chills down my spine. You should know I've been setting money aside. Quite a lot of it. And I have my own lawyer. A very good one. Are you threatening me? I am being practical, she said. This doesn't have to get ugly. As I stood to leave, a terrible thought occurred to me. Have you been bringing your clients to our home? The way she looked away answered my question. In our bed? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Sometimes, she admitted. It was convenient when you were working late. I walked out without another word. I went straight from her place to a hotel. Couldn't bear the thought of going back to our house, our bed, knowing what I now knew. I called my lawyer from the hotel lobby and updated him on everything. He advised me to secure my finances immediately. Thank God I listened. By the time I logged into our joint accounts the next morning, Sarah had already withdrawn $30,000. Legally, she had every right to take the money, my lawyer explained. It was a joint account, after all, but it confirmed what I already knew. This divorce would be a war, not a negotiation. I moved what remained of our joint funds into a separate account, leaving exactly half for her. Then I called a locksmith and had the locks changed at our house. Petty? Maybe. But the thought of her bringing clients into our home while I was locked out in a hotel was too much to bear. When I returned to the house that afternoon, Sarah was already there, standing in the driveway with her arms crossed. She clearly tried to get in with her key. Really? She said, changing the locks? Really? I countered. Emptying our bank account? We stared at each other like strangers, which I suppose we were. I need to get my things, she said. I let her in, then followed her from room to room as she packed. Not because I didn't trust her, although I definitely didn't but because I couldn't bear to let her out of my sight. I needed to see her selecting her clothes, her jewelry, her toiletries. Needed to watch her physically removing herself from my life. She was methodical, efficient. No tears, no lingering over sentimental items. Just the practical task of separating her belongings from mine. I stood in the doorway of our bedroom as she emptied her side of the closet. Were you ever going to tell me? I asked. Or was this just going to be our life? You living a double life indefinitely? She paused, a stack of sweaters in her arms. I don't know, she said, and it was perhaps the most honest thing she said to me in years. I hadn't thought that far ahead. 3 years, Sarah. 3 years of lies. Did you ever think about the risk? The STDs? The legal ramifications? I am careful, she said. I get tested regularly. My clients are discreet. Your clients, I repeated. Do they know you remarried? Do they care? Some do, some don't. Some prefer it, actually. She said this so casually, as if discussing preferences for coffee or wine. I felt sick all over again. As she was finishing packing, her phone rang. She glanced at it, declined the call. Business? I asked bitterly. My lawyer, she answered. We should probably discuss how we're going to handle this. My lawyer will contact yours, I said. I have nothing to say to you directly. She nodded, zipped up her last suitcase. For what it's worth, I am sorry. For which part? I asked. For becoming an escort? For lying to me for years? For bringing men into our home? Or just for getting caught? She didn't answer, just wheeled her suitcases to the door. I followed her out, watched her load everything into her car. Where will you go? I asked, surprising myself with the question. The apartment downtown, she said. It's paid up for the next 6 months. Paid for with money from her clients. Money that should have been contributing to our future, our dreams. Money earned from the destruction of our marriage. After she drove away, I went back inside and looked around at what remained. Half-empty closets, gaps on bookshelves, a single toothbrush in the bathroom. The physical evidence of her departure was stark, but nothing compared to the emotional void she left behind. That night, I ordered new furniture for the bedroom. Couldn't stand the thought of sleeping in that bed again. While waiting for delivery, I slept in the guest room, tossing and turning with images of Sarah with her clients haunting my dreams. The next few weeks were a blur of lawyer meetings, financial disclosures, and property evaluations. Sarah hadn't been exaggerating about the money she'd been setting aside. Financial discovery revealed multiple accounts under her maiden name with nearly $400,000 in total. Money she claimed was earned independently as a consultant. My lawyer advised me to push for half, arguing that income during marriage is communal property. Her lawyer argued it was separate income from a separate business. The process was draining me emotionally and financially. Every day brought new revelations, new betrayals. The PI discovered Sarah had been operating her business for even longer than she admitted. Nearly 4 years, not 3. He found evidence of an appointment scheduling system, client profiles, even a website with veiled language offering her exclusive companionship services. Meanwhile, mutual friends started taking sides. Most hadn't been told the real reason for our split. Sarah was controlling the narrative, telling people we had grown apart, or that I had become controlling. Only a handful of my closest friends knew the truth, and even they seemed uncomfortable with the details. I was living in limbo, a half-life in a half-empty house, waiting for the legal system to officially end what was already dead. Then came the text that changed everything again. We need to talk, in person. It's important. It was from Sarah. After receiving Sarah's text asking to meet, I consulted my lawyer. He advised against any meeting without legal representation present, warning that anything I said could be used against me in our increasingly contentious divorce. But curiosity got the better of me. After 3 days of deliberation, I agreed to meet Sarah at a neutral location, a coffee shop downtown, public enough that neither of us could cause a scene. When I arrived, she was already there, sitting at a corner table with 2 cups. She looked different, thinner, sharper somehow. She'd cut her hair short, dyed it darker, reinventing herself, I supposed, now that she didn't have to maintain the fiction of being my wife. Thanks for coming, she said as I sat down. What's so important? I asked, ignoring the coffee she bought me. She took a deep breath. I am dropping the financial claims. Of all the things I expected her to say, this wasn't one of them. Our lawyers had been battling over her hidden escort earnings for weeks. Why? I asked suspiciously. Because I want this over with, she said. And because. She hesitated, because I've been offered a job overseas. Dubai. A permanent position. Let me guess. More consulting. I couldn't keep the bitterness from my voice. No, she said firmly. A legitimate job. Head of client relations for an international investment firm. I laughed. Client relations. How appropriate. She didn't rise to the bait. One of my former clients is an executive there. He's been trying to recruit me for over a year. I finally accepted. So you running away. I am starting over, she corrected. Away from all of this. Away from the person I became here. I studied her face, trying to find the woman I married in those familiar features. Are you actually feeling remorse? That would be a first. I had time to think about what I did. To you. To us. She looked down at her hands. I am not proud of it. Yet you did it anyway. For years. I can change that, she said quietly. But I can try to make the divorce less painful for both of us. I leaned back in my chair, trying to process this unexpected turn. So what are you proposing? I keep my separate accounts. You keep the house and our joint assets. Clean break. My lawyer will draw up the papers today. It was a surprisingly generous offer. With her income claims dropped, I'd come out significantly ahead financially. But something still felt off. Why would you do this? What's the catch? She met my eyes directly. The catch is I need you to sign an NDA. About my previous work. I can't have that following me to Dubai. And there it was. Sarah wasn't experiencing remorse. She was protecting her new opportunity. Still just a business transaction. You want me to help you erase your past. I want us both to move on, she said. You get financial compensation. I get discretion. I should have been angry, but I just felt tired. Tired of the lies, the manipulations, the constant calculations. Fine, I said finally. Have your lawyer send the papers to mine. Relief washed over her face. Thank you, Don. Thank me. I am not doing this for you. I just want you out of my life as quickly as possible. We sat in uncomfortable silence for a moment. Despite everything, there was still a strange intimacy between us. The kind that only comes from sharing years of your life with someone, even if much of it was based on deception. Can I ask you something? I said finally. Did you ever really love me? Or was I just convenient? She considered the question, and for once, I thought she might be giving me a straight answer. When we met, when we got married, yes, I loved you. You were kind, stable, honest. Everything I thought I wanted. She paused. But I changed. Or maybe I was always changing, and you just didn't see it. Couldn't see it. Because you didn't let me, I said. You didn't give me the chance to know who you really were. Would you have stayed if you known? The question hung between us. No, I admitted. But you didn't give me the choice. She nodded, accepting this. For what it's worth, I do regret hurting you. I never intended for it to end this way. How did you think it would end? I asked, genuinely curious. Did you have an exit strategy? Or was I just supposed to remain oblivious forever? I didn't think that far ahead, she admitted. Each day just led to the next. We finished our coffees in silence. There was nothing left to say, really. The woman sitting across from me was a stranger wearing my wife's face. A person I had loved deeply but never truly known. As we stood to leave, Sarah hesitated, then pulled an envelope from her purse. One last thing, she said. All the camera footage from our house. The originals and all copies. My lawyer insisted. I took the envelope. Of course she would know about the cameras. She probably found them within days of my installing them. Maybe she even played to them, making sure I saw exactly what she wanted me to see. Goodbye, Sarah, I said, the finality of those words settling heavily between us. Goodbye, she replied, and walked away without looking back. 3 months later, our divorce was finalized. True to her word, Sarah took only her separate property and left me the house and our joint assets. I sold the house. Couldn't stand to live there with all its memories, and moved to Seattle to accept a job offer I'd been considering for years. As for Sarah, I heard through mutual friends that she did move to Dubai. She sent me an email after the divorce was final, just 3 words. Be happy again. I deleted it without responding. It's been 2 years now since the day I installed that first camera. 2 years since my life imploded. The pain has dulled, though I still have moments where the betrayal feels fresh, where I question everything about our relationship, about my judgment, about trust itself. Dating again has been challenging. I find myself looking for lies, for hidden motives, analyzing every inconsistency in stories or schedules. My therapist calls it hypervigilance, a common response to betrayal trauma. I am working on it. Last month, I met someone. She's nothing like Sarah. She's a kindergarten teacher, open, straightforward, warm. On our 3rd date, I told her everything. About Sarah, the escorts, the cameras, the divorce. I expected her to run. Instead, she reached across the table, took my hand, and said, Thank you for trusting me with that. Trust. Such a simple word for such a complicated thing. I don't know if this new relationship will work out. I don't know if I'll ever fully trust someone again the way I trusted Sarah before everything fell apart. But I am trying. Day by day. That camera changed everything. It destroyed the life I thought I had. But sometimes I think about where I'd be if I never installed it. Still living in ignorance. Still married to a stranger. Still believing in a lie. As painful as the truth was, I am glad I found it. Thank you for watching this real-life story of betrayal and recovery. If you like the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new exciting life stories. Share your impressions and thoughts in the comments below. Was the hero right in his actions? What would you have done in his place? Do you have any similar stories you'd like to share?